Okay, what's going on, party people? So my name's Cam. Today we're going to be looking at my first mechanical keyboard build. I thought it would be a really fun experience to kind of document my dive into insanity as I continue to grow more and more obsessed with this fun new hobby. It's been extremely rewarding, and I love all the cool information that I've learned through YouTube and of course the amazing r/mechanical keyboards subreddit. Big shout out to John for originally showing me that subreddit, but also frick you, buddy, because holy heck have I spent a lot of money. But you best believe that my shopping cart on AliExpress is already filled up again. So to kind of talk about what we're doing here, I'm actually lubricating some switches. What switches am I using in lube? So we have some ZealPC Zilent V2 62 gram weighted switches, and we're using the thick lube off of ZealPC.net as well. So I had some curiosities before building this keyboard, and I kind of want to talk to you about those little variables. So one of the big things was, the use of O-rings. Does it really make a difference? Is it worth doing it? Does it make a big difference when typing? The different keycap thicknesses, so a thinner sound versus a thicker PBT cap. I'm not a big fan of ABS because of the shininess of them, so I'm only really going to be sticking to PBT. Other silencing options like using different mouse mats, using towels, using foam, etc. like that. Also, you can see the lighting change here. I didn't really figure out the lighting situation too well, so it's going to change a whole bunch. I apologize about that in advance. Oh yeah, and the last little thing. Oh geez, what did I lose now? Did I lose another switch? Okay, so this is where I lost one of my springs, but I found it. Very big headache. I completely lost one of my springs. That's kind of just... I just have an empty switch just sitting beside me now. It's a little bit sad to look at, but I'm probably going to... Oh, am I going to change the lighting even more? Oh my god, why am I doing this? But either way, I believe this is the part where we're going to get into actually installing some keys. So we'll see what they start sounding like when they are lubricated versus unlubricated. So this is the lubricated side. And these are unlubricated. So you can hear a really big difference with that pingy spring noise on the upstroke. So now this is with the thick 1.5 millimeter keycaps. You can really hear the spring there. And this is with lubricated. So this next row is actually going to be lubricated with O-rings on the switch. So I messed up the first time, so we're going to put some O-rings on the keycaps, and we're going to see how these sound compared to the regular lubricated. I'm also going to keep the decibel bar on the side so you can kind of see how much louder or quieter they're going to be. And if you're like me, you want to know what these sounded like compared to Cherry MX Brown switches, so here you go. Oh god, Cherry MX Browns, these are so terrible. Can you compare it? Oh god. Don't touch that thing ever again. Okay, so now here is the little sound comparison between lubricated versus lubricated with... I'm talking too fast for this. So... maybe I'll just cut this part out. I don't know, man. It didn't really make a whole big difference. Basically, those beigey ones sounded like ass, and then the white ones sounded very nice because they were a lot thicker. It's a 1.3 versus 1.5 millimeter. So that extra thickness really makes it sound thockier, a little bit bassier, a little less plasticky, really. But if you're looking for some cool keycaps, sometimes you gotta deal with that. But either way, this is the whole kind of... Oh, look at me, I'm putting stuff... Oh, wow, that would look really terrible. So yeah, put on a whole bunch of keycaps. This is not what it's going to look like because, as I start... I'm about to type. Oh. You hear that? That's disappointment. Because the stabilizers got stuck, because the switch isn't heavy enough. Ah. So I'm going to try flipping it. And guess what? It's not going to do a whole lot. So these are really bad stabilizers, and that kind of sucks. And it's also not a very heavy switch at all, so not a whole lot I can do in that situation. So I'm going to replace this with the thinner PBT spacebar. You can see here, boom, swag. Looks super cool, but you'll see later. I completely changed that, and now the whole build is gonna have a cool but cheesy name. Oh, more typing? So as we're going over this bit of a typing sample, you can hear the cheap Chinese stabilizers clicking and clacking away as I hit backspaces and enters and space bars and typing. It sounds really bad, so what I actually ended up doing was just kind of saying screw the whole spacebar situation altogether. I'm going to use a 1.75 unit. I think that's what this is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 1.75U. But yeah, so that's going to be my new spacebar, which you're going to see very shortly. But this is, yeah, oh my god. Yeah, look how bad those sound. Those stabilizers are so bad. Oh my god, nothing can save those. So I'm still going to lubricate them eventually, but yeah, they sound terrible. I'm going to recommend not using the stabilizers it comes with. Just buy some nice ones because they're so bad. Hey, yikes. But anyway, oh, you didn't see that there, but there's actually a whole cut there, and I actually spliced two clips together, but the frame ended up looking really good, so I just kept it. And yeah, that's just a little bit of that Hollywood movie magic. So as you can see, the big difference on the keyboard now is the big addition of this is just Space Savers, but using this fancy hyper key for the space bar. And now, boom, enter hyperspace. I love being edgy. But either way, now we're using the FN1 key for the caps lock because I never use caps lock. I'm a shift boy. Swap those things around. They're in the right spot, but it's a Mac, I don't care. I don't even know what this button does, so I just put the escape key there because I needed the function for the caps lock. So that works. It's also my down arrow key. And function 2 is my actual function. You'll notice here that I have a gray enter key because this is the one that it came with, but it was too thick. Same situation, couldn't really lift up that keycap as well, so that made it quieter, surprisingly. So we're doing that. It's kind of cool. Otherwise, everything's pretty much the same. The biggest difference is changing. I switched out the spacebar like 3 times. Originally, I was using a shift key, but it was very wobbly because there's no stabilizers. Then I had switched to using this escape key, and that was just, it was alright, but it was way too small. It's only 1 unit. I'm not an ortholinear boy. And then I was using the super function button. I'm like, wow, this is a lot better. It's almost like a bigger spacebar is nicer to use or something. Who would have thought? Then I was like, I don't even use caps lock. Why don't I just steal that key and put it there? And then I looked at it again. I'm like, oh, hyperspace. That's clever. So either way, here is the full typing demonstration after we are done all the modifications, and it's pretty much as silent as you can get since there's no stabilizer. And now that the build is over, let me tell you about my findings after doing everything. So first things first, and that's the lube. It's definitely worth the time that you'll spend doing this. The springs stop pinging and they sound smooth and delightful. For feel, it makes you understand what people are saying when they say the keys are scratchy. It's kind of like running your finger along plastic versus glass. They're both very smooth, but one is much nicer. When it comes to keycaps, we've seen that thicker is always better, which I'm not super surprised about. I tested this with PBT caps as I didn't have any ABS to test with, but it is worth taking that extra time to find something that is going to be thicker and give you an overall better experience. Sometimes you'll have to pay a bit more for that, but if you're like me and you don't care all that much, you can find a cheap set just like this one that's like 1.5 millimeters thick. It was like 20 something bucks Canadian, so super cheap. When it comes to O-rings, they do work a lot better on thin caps, and I didn't really notice much of a difference on the thinner caps. Sound-wise, I didn't notice too much of a reduction. It sounds slightly different, but that's more of a preference-based thing. Same with the feel, you don't really notice much of a difference with only 0.2 millimeter travel loss. But if you do double up on your O-rings, the sound is much more rubbery and kind of hollow sounding, along with the actual key feel being quite a bit mushier as soon as you bottom out, which is a lot easier since it's about 0.5 millimeter travel reduction now, or more. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the mouse mats. So I don't have it here and I didn't film it, but using a 3mm mouse mat, it didn't do anything, and I could still hear all my desk noise. But as soon as I put it onto a towel or a couple pairs of socks if you don't have a wash towel nearby you, it completely just killed off all of that echoey desk kind of sound, you know what I'm saying? So highly recommend just putting a washcloth or like 4 socks underneath your keyboard. It sounds amazing. But if you push a neoprene wrist rest against it like I have here, it will send that sound into the desk, which may or may not be desirable, so thing to note. But either way, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and of course if you have any suggestions on how to improve this, make sure you leave those in the comments down below. I'm going to keep on posting more keyboard videos to this channel, so I hope you guys enjoy them. My name's Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.